I told you, I can't spare his name. Mr. Dion wants her phone. Mr. Graham wants a railroad bill. No, this ain't happening. Boss man, let him go.
Oh, I'm sorry, y'all. I didn't even know y'all was in the window. I was on the phone running my mouth. Y'all heard me. So I get off the phone. Hey, y'all. What's going on? Yeah, I was on the phone with my stepmom. Child. What's going on, everybody? Say, get off that phone. Hey, y'all. What's going on? Hey, let me say hello to everybody. What that say? I gotta say these names right because I see we got a bunch of people coming in the window. Okay, so what that is? Esther. Hey, Esther. What's up, Soft Power? What's up, Lady Blue? Hey, Regina. How you doing? What that blowing flowers? Hey, blowing flowers. What's up, Makia? What that is? Honey. Hey, honey, sweet. What's up, D? What that is? Hey, Grab. What's up, Tammy? Hey, Nature Queen. Voice of Fair Use. I see you. Twinkie Cake. Lady in Blue. Did I say Tammy Thomas? Yeah. How y'all doing? So anyway, um, yeah, I've been over here on my other platforms expressing my thoughts and feelings on the Carmelo Anthony situation, him being convicted, and also the loss of Austin Metcalf. So everybody have these mixed feelings, and we all were teenagers once. We all were teenagers once, y'all. And even though we got a bunch of adults online attacking children, attacking young adults, because he's 19 now, but when the incident took place, Carmelo was 17. And that's where my mind said at. Whenever the case is being discussed, I'm on a 17-year-old boy, not this 19-year-old man that they convicted. The 17-year-old boy that was under the tent that was approached by the Metcalfs. So at the end of the day, we all know we were kids once, we were teenagers. We either had the aggressor or the one that wasn't an aggressor. But at the end of the day, I think 35 years was just too harsh for him. And he just filed the appeal. He just filed an appeal and to have a hearing. And the only reason why I feel that there should be an appeal and he should get another granted opportunity is because, first of all, finding out that both of the lawyers, the Metcalf's lawyer and Carmelo lawyer, were once partners at a downtown Dallas office, and it was called the Shook, Gunter, and Worski. It was a firm that they were in partnership with. So it makes you only, speculate and, you know, have you thinking, well, was this planned? Did these grown adults come together to immediately sabotage this young man? Not only that, and not to be disrespectful, because I'm not doing this live to be disrespectful, but not only that, to have a all white jury with none of his peers. And this is the law. The law states that when you have a jury, you're supposed to have a jury of your peers. And he didn't have a jury of his peers. Let's be realistic. He didn't. He didn't have a jury of his peers. And it was absolutely not fair. Now, do I think that he should have got something for unaliving somebody? I think he should have got something. But because they sabotaged him, my mindset now is saying he should get nothing. This is what my mindset is saying. In the beginning, because Austin lost his life, and he took it upon himself to step to a young man and start a fight. That's bullying. No matter how you try to place it, no matter how you try to sugarcoat it, no matter how you try to dress it, Austin stepped to Carmelo with the intent to bully. And it's a fact. It's so sad that the outcome had to be a child with a weapon taking another child out because he was being jumped. And we all know he was outnumbered because the video footage showed 6 people walking up, 2 people detouring one place. One went to the coach, one sat at the end of the bleachers, and the foe continued up, which was Hunter and Austin and 2 other uh, friends. They continued to the tent to approach Carmelo. So with that being said, when we looked at this trial and we looked at the only people that you had take the stand were friends of Austin, not even experts. You didn't have certain experts take the stand. Then you didn't even have Carmelo speak for his own defense. It was just too many loopholes and too many people dropping the ball for this trial just to wrap it up fast. That's I got from this. It was trying to be a speedy wrap up. We trying to speed this thing up, get this conviction, get him locked up before anybody can ask any questions, find out anything, view any taste. We trying to get this over with, and to wait till he turned 19 is a dead giveaway. Like, we want to try him as an adult. We don't want to do this thing while he's 17. We don't want people to look at him as a teenage kid. We want them to look at him as an adult. But when it transpired, it was a teenage kid. And then to look at, there were 2 other incidents that happened in Texas where it was um, a white young guy that unalived another teenager, and he got 10 years, and they tried to make some type of excuse for him as though it was, like a remorseful thing. They didn't badger him the way they badgering Carmelo. It was more of a remorse thing, like, he was young, he didn't know, that type of thing. And then it was a Hispanic kid that unalived another teenager, and they only gave him 10 years of probation and 30 days in jail. So you can't help but to think that the charges, 35 years, was roadkill. To me, it was roadkill because you're stripping away this young man life. And for those of y'all that don't know, the judicial system has a contract with prison institutes, these correctional facilities, to promise to fill their jail cells. So no matter what innocence is proven or what guilt is proven, and they're supposed to only get a minimum amount of time of being incarcerated, these people tend to get maximum time because they're trying to fulfill a contract agreement to keep the prison or institution's cells filled. And they don't care about a human life or a person being human and having rights. They only care about the mighty dollar and the contract that they made an agreement to keep these cells filled. A lot of people, and it's public information. You can read this information online and see where I'm coming from. So 9 out of 10, society has showed us time and time again that a black life doesn't really matter. And even if a person is guilty, whether you're guilty or innocent, this is what I'm saying. Whether you're guilty or innocent, you're supposed to be granted a free trial. That means everything should be investigated and tried in the manner of fairness before you convict anyone. Before there's a conviction and before there's a verdict, it should be investigated. And a lot of things weren't investigated, like that surveillance camera. They showed the body camera in court. But from my standing, I'm not sure whether or not they showed the surveillance camera from the uh, stadium. So a lot of stuff was not done right, and it's crazy to me that so many grown people are on the verge of attack of two teenage kids that made rash decisions. And what I mean by rash decisions, the court says that Austin and Carmelo didn't know each other. I beg to differ. I beg to differ. I think they knew each other. I think they knew each other. I think they knew each other. I just think they weren't friends. I think they knew each other and they just weren't friends. I think they knew of each other. Let me not say knew each other. Because knowing somebody, you have to be an acquaintance. You had to, have some type of common ground where they didn't know each other. They knew of each other. They were aware of each other. Because for someone to take the initiative to walk all the way across from somewhere to step to somebody and say, get from up under a tent, doesn't sound like somebody that didn't know somebody. And to say it aggressively sounds personal. And these are the questions that probably wasn't even asked in the courtroom. How personal was it between Carmelo and Austin? And we all know kids got a bunch of rumors out here, and we can't go by hearsay because hearsay is just hearsay. But at the end of the day, they said the surveillance camera shows them walking up towards the stadium, not the stadium, but the stands. So they had to be in the field. So they're walking, and it's six of them, and two vacate. One walk to the coast, the other one stays at the end of the stands. And the four continue to approach Carmelo under the tent. Yeah, they keep saying these kids ain't know each other. I beg to differ. 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 I believe they had some type of encounter. I believe they had a prior encounter. Some words, some tension, way before Austin walked across that field to step up into them stands to tell Carmelo to get from up under the tent. I believe there was something. I believe there was something. What you say, Mark Ross? They did. Yeah, I believe it was something. Ain't nobody gonna walk up to a complete stranger and say, "Hey, get from up under the tent," and be that angry. It had to be some type of previous encounter, words, and that type of stuff leave people with bad blood. So whenever you see somebody, there's going to be tension. So with that being said, I don't think people are really paying attention to that. What happened? Let me see what Amanda said. Say it was stupid for Austin to put his hands on someone. I agree. I agree. I agree. It was stupid to have a knife in school. I agree. I believe both sides make valid points. I believe both sides make valid points. But it was a stadium at a track meet. It wasn't actually school, right? And we also got to know that it's common that people carry weapons, whether it's mace, a knife, or a firearm. No one ever thinks for a second that a teenager will have a knife. But question is, why did he feel the need to have a weapon to carry? And we can't say he was a bad kid that was in trouble. He was an A student. He was passing all his classes. He was an athlete. He wasn't no game bang. So for him to have a knife seems like a form of protection. Um, I just feel like it just wouldn't have took place if someone didn't feel like they was the authority to tell somebody to move up under a tent. And I just really feel like that. I feel like if you felt someone was violating your space, which you wasn't even over there, and it was raining, obviously, because someone said they had a weather storm report stating that it was storming, and him getting up under the tent means he was taking cover, he was taking shelter. So for you to come all the way over there and want to put somebody out in the rain, it just seemed personal. And we just got to be realistic. It just seemed personal to tell somebody, I don't want you under the tent, get from under the tent, and it's raining. I don't know. I'm not going to walk to somebody and tell get from under the tent and it's raining. It gives personal. You can carry mace. That's a form of a weapon. Mace is definitely a form of weapon. But some people feel like a knife is too. Because I know truck drivers that drive trucks. And in Florida, the state of Florida, they can't have firearms while driving a truck. And at one time, truck drivers used to can't have firearms. But they made it where they can't carry firearms. So now they carry like pocket knives. Because I used to work at this place called Home Chef, and they have to walk through a metal detector before they even do their paperwork to do whether they trying to load cargo or whatever it is they trying to load. And I would have to keep the knives from them, but every single truck driver carried a pocket knife. I've known for a fact that every good old boy carries a pocket knife. I've noticed in a lot of communities where there's white people, they carry pocket knives instead of firearms. And a lot of people carry firearms too, but pocket knives are common. And just looking at the neighborhood or environment, suburbs, area that he was raised in, he might have had the idea of carrying a pocket knife for other people that's in his surroundings, because he didn't only have black friends, he had white friends. When we look at that picture that went viral with him holding the shotgun, he's not standing alone, even though they cropped him out alone, but he's standing there with two of his white friends and two of his black friends, or either one of his black friends. Yeah, one of his black friends and two of his white friends. So he was brought up in a suburb environment. And my thing is, in that area, they're known to carry pocket knives. I mean, that's just truth. I'm not trying to um, discredit anybody. I mean, it's a sad fact that a child had to lose his life. It's a sad fact that a child had to be incarcerated and convicted. But even if you committed a crime, you are due to a fair trial. For them to put 12 white jurors that can more so relate to Austin than to relate to Carmelo is unfair, because the law says that a jury should be a jury of your peers. They did not grant Carmelo that. And the only testimonies in that stand was mainly uh, classmates or people that attended school with their testimonies on the behalf of Austin. And their statements were, he looks after us. Why does another teenager has to look after another teenager? And the way they commended him and uplifted him is almost that he was like a ringleader of a pack. Just the wording that they were saying in the stands, the wording and how they worded, almost as if they were together and they spoke together, and all of them were saying the same thing. And then when they played the footage of the surveillance camera, a lot of the things that these babies were saying didn't match the surveillance camera. Like when Hunter say he stuck around and applied pressure on his brother because he was hemorrhaging until help came. it showed that Hunter didn't stay with Austin. It showed Hunter left Austin. When Carmelo looked left and right to see where he can go to take off running, because he know he dropped the ball when that knife was inserted. And then people are talking like it was a consecutive poke. Mind you, Carmelo was in a headlock for a little while. Hunter was in between them. So when the poke happened to Austin and it not being consecutive, who's to say that knife was inserted in Austin through a tussle, not an intentional stab, just doing a tussle? That knife landed in him because there's no consecutive poke. There's one poke. One poke was fatal. One poke took a teenage life. When someone is intentionally trying to insert a weapon into somebody, I've never heard of it just being one time. I've always heard there's been a consecutive. It's almost like they blanked out and they they blanked out. And it's a constant thing. It's a constant thing. It's not a one-time poke. It's not a one-time poke, ladies and gentlemen. It's not a one-time thing. And we just got to tell the truth. We've heard instances of people dying from freak accidents, falling on a knife, or somebody accidentally, I don't know. It just, it's a known fact he had it in his hand. It's a known fact, but when you listen to the testimony, the young kids say Carmelo threw his bag. The surveillance camera shows one of the teenagers snatching his bag. They say threw the bag, but the camera shows a snatch. And I've never seen people that are supporting a victim but have the tendency of trying to cover tracks and tell fictitious stories, because a victim normally tells the truth because they want to prove why they're the victim. If anybody should be consecutively lying, it should have been Carmelo because he was on the defensive end. Yeah, I heard that there were black women replaced because it was a judicial, and I hate to say it, y'all, it was a judicial lynching. It was a judicial lynching. His fate was already discussed before the trial. Them 35 years were already discussed. Somebody said that Carmelo family should have took a plea. They can't take a plea because there was an actual stabbing from his hand. He actually stabbed Austin. So there was no plea. There was no plea. He had already admitted that he did it. And that's the truth. But what we're getting, when these teenagers walked over to him, they walked over to him, and once they snatched his bag, it became an imminent threat. It became an imminent threat. Once you walk up to somebody and you have words, nothing is an imminent threat verbally at all, period. Words is not an imminent threat. But once you snatch something out of somebody's hand, the state of Texas states that that becomes an imminent threat.
Attention, this is an urgent Medicare benefit update for 2026. Right now, millions of grocery allowance dollars are sitting unclaimed. If you have Medicare Parts A and B, you can have your
See, they had been having meetings for months and they were going to set an example.
before midnight tonight. This is not
He was doomed. He was doomed, Queen.
designated for your zip code. But if you don't call to verify your eligibility,
say the law takes effect once again, especially in Texas. Texas, Texas still have a lot of evolving to do because a lot of Texans are still stuck in the past as though this isn't 2026. And we just got to keep it real. Everybody is due to a fair trial, whether innocent or guilty. And that's just what it is. Once you take the law into your own hands and you start trying to make decisive decisions on your own without following protocol, it just lets you know that you're in the wrong career. You're in the wrong career. You're in the wrong career field. People that are going to abide by the law, these are the people that need to be seated in those positions and not people that's going to think immaturely and try to sweep stuff up under the rug and create their own laws. And create their own laws. I was trying to get that from out my face. It said, Queen, that's exactly what I said earlier. Poor kid was doomed from the start. Yeah, because they had already sat down and were having meetings on his fate. And they came up with them 35 years way before the trial took place. Okay, so I have a Q&A up here, and it's asking a fictional character you relate to the most. What is a fictional character you relate to the most? What is a fictional character you relate to as yourself? Which one do you relate to the most? A fictional character. This is a quick Q&A up here, y'all. Y'all answer it. A fictional character that you relate to the most. Let me see. Oh, Carnage for Spider-Man. Carnage from Spider-Man. Who else? Who else have a fictional character they can relate to? I can relate to Catwoman because I'm always creeping around trying to get the tea. I'm always creeping around trying to get the tea. You can relate to Wonder Woman. Okay. Okay. Could you tell me why you relate more to Carnage? And could you tell me why you relate more to Wonder Woman? Because I relate to Catwoman. Because I'm always trying to get the tea. I'm always trying to get those receipts. You too, you Catwoman, okay. Who else? Who else got a fictional character they can relate to before we get back to the Big Bird? You can relate to Big Bird. You must be tall. You must be tall. You must be tall. Okay, so back to the story at hand. That was a quick Q&A. I guess they want to brighten up the conversation because sometimes talking about stuff like that can put people in debatable mood. So sometimes they try to like smoothen out the conversation. But anyway, back to something that's realistic, y'all. I just feel like now this is what I did on my other live. They were stating that um Austin had an ex girlfriend, and this could be alleged. This could be made up because we haven't heard the courts talk about it. They didn't bring this up in court. We haven't heard their friends talking about it. But somebody stated that they dropped a dime that Austin was dating this girl who became his ex, and then Carmelo was dating him. dating the girl or talking to the girl or was caught speaking to the girl. Because we all know that Carmelo has a girlfriend, this girl named Perez. She a Hispanic girl. And apparently she attended that school too. She'd been out posts saying, I love you, I miss you, keep your head up, stuff like that. Encouraging like posts. And for some strange reason they said uh the tension with them two was behind a girl. We don't have any facts on that. That's allegedly. We're unsure if that's even real because nobody has brought that up. Oh, that was false. They made that up. Okay, thank you, Toya. Okay, thank you. Because I was on my live and somebody brought that to me. So, yeah. Thank you for clearing that up. And what else somebody brought to my attention? That there was a young man named Eddie that was sitting up under the tent. He's a mixed kid. He's black and white. And when it was raining, they said Eddie said, Carmelo, you can get up under the tent. Like offered him to come up under the tent. Now last year I was told that uh Carmelo just took shelter up under the tent. He took shelter up under the tent. But yeah, they're saying that there was a young man by the name of Eddie was sitting up under the tent. Oh, Eddie and Carmelo didn't know each other, or Austin and Carmelo didn't know each other. Well, the coaches were coaching. They were doing what they were supposed to do. They were coaching. And these kids took it upon themselves to approach another kid in the bleachers, at the top of the bleachers. The coaches are on the field. Mind you, this is a track and field event. They're not sitting in the stands. So when this happened, they had no control of what took place because they were doing their job. The coaches, the adults were doing their job coaching. So when the fight took place, now they're trying to get over there to the fight. And they said it happened so fast. They said the interaction happened fast. They said it wasn't no long rumble. They said it was quick. So we can't really blame these adults for these kids choosing to act out the way they did. That was on the kids. That choice that they made to approach another kid, this was a decision they made, and this was a decision that was discussed with other kids because it was six kids cutting across the field. One went to the coach to talk to the coach, allegedly to distract him. The other kid sat at the end of the bleachers and didn't walk with the other four. There were four kids that approached Carmelo. There were four. Now, this is the thing. This is the thing. I looked up the fact that he was suspended, and it keeps saying he wasn't suspended. Neither one of the kids was suspended. But I keep getting people coming to tell me that there is paperwork on Austin and Hunter being suspended. And the only reason why they were at the track and field was to do something that was request of them to do, to put up some props or something. And after they were through putting up these props that they were told they needed to do at the track and field meet, they were supposed to go back home immediately because they were suspended. Now, I still haven't found paperwork on that. I just heard people discussing it. There was no proof. And I even Googled it, hoping that I could pull it up, and it didn't show. Um, it didn't come up. But yeah, but if that is a fact that they were suspended, they were supposed to be at a school ground, around school staff, around school students, at any school event, whether it's track or field. They wasn't supposed to be there. Suspension is suspension. That means they were supposed to be home. So whoever requests them to come to the track and field event to prop anything up, Now they should be held accountable as well. Because obviously if there was a suspension, they were suspended for a reason. And we still don't know if that's true. So I gotta say allegedly because I went online researching and looking it up and couldn't find it. And I'm sorry I gotta end this live, y'all. My father is calling me and he told me to call him. So we probably go live a little later. I just want to speak on that, y'all. Peace out.